Hello. I hope the audio works okay. It's my first time using this mic, so we'll see how that goes. Today I have a lot of orders to pack. Thank you so much if you bought anything for my last drop. I really appreciate it. And I hate packing orders. I like packing a few. If I've got like 3, I'm like, okay, nice, I can do this. But if I've got like 40, then my mind goes to dark places. So I decided to ask on Instagram for some questions to answer. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to answer some questions that you guys asked. And I haven't planned them out, which is maybe a terrible idea. I probably should have done, but I didn't. So we'll see how that goes. Oh, the red line is like really big on this recording. Do you think that's okay? Should I talk quieter? Should I do ASMR? Oh my god, my boyfriend hates this. But the only way I can sleep recently is if I listen to that one particular Trisha Paytas like tavern ASMR video where she does like the horrible English accent. All right, traveller, you're a bit lost round here. I can't do a terrible English accent because I'm English, but it's along those lines. It's just really funny. So there's a little snippet into my life. Oh, the chair is so loud. I've been looking for a new chair, but I'm on this thing where I only want to get secondhand things, and it's really hard to find a secondhand chair that squeaks less than this one. So this is our lot for now. Oh, so the line is really big. It's kind of stressing me out, but I don't want to stop the whole recording because it will set the audio off. I'll leave it for now. Okay, so I need to get my orders up. Oh, a sir wants to join me. You will make my limp rolling twice as much, so you can't join me, but I still love you. Okay, you have a huge bed. You have 3 beds on the floor. You can pick from any of those. Do you want to sit behind me? Those eyes. Oh, sir. My lap is like much less comfortable than the bed, I promise you. Okay, baby, you got to go in the bed, okay? He's like squirming so much that I can't grab him. He's like, no, baby, go on, in your bed. So the first question is, do you always use old clothing for every piece of clothing you make? And the short answer is no. The long answer is, so items like this, where it's skirts, shorts, trousers, dresses, dungarees, if it's any knitwear or sort of blanks that look a little bit more unusual, then those are all secondhand from charity shops. I have a really good charity shop warehouse near me, and if you live in the UK, you know that the warehouses are like hard to come by. And when I moved here, I didn't even know that it was going to be there, so that was pretty good. But hoodies, t-shirts and sweatshirts I get from typically only Stanley Stella, just because I know that they're good for the environment. So that's how I am able to do made to orders, because obviously all the blanks have to be the same. And if I was sourcing each individual one, that it would not be a possibility. So yes, and you'll find that a lot of the clothing I make happens to be UK size 12, because guess who's a UK size 12? Oh, that's me. And sometimes I'll look in my closet and I'll be like, or a UK 10, which is what I used to be. And I'll look in at my clothing and I'll be like, I need some blanks and I don't feel like leaving the house, so I'll dip in. And that's normally when it's the ones that are by sort of brands like Trip, or I think maybe that's the only one that I can think of right now. But yes, I hope that answered your question. Yeah. Second question is, what's the hardest part about running a business? A lot of it is hard, I won't lie. A lot of it was extremely challenging for me, because I didn't take business. I don't know anything about business. I didn't particularly want it to be a business, but I wanted to do it a lot, and in order to do it a lot, you have to make money from it. Otherwise, you have to get another job and able to do it. So yeah, the hardest part is probably doing it all together, if that makes sense. So it will be things like I need to Like, if I could just be like a faceless person, I make the clothing and then it magically ends up online, that would be my dream. But the hardest part is probably like having to be a photographer, a social media person, to like list all the items, to be a packer, to pack all the items, to take them all to the post office, to do all the drawings, all the sewing. So it's probably doing it alone, but I'm autistic and I refuse to work with anyone else because firstly, that sort of branches more into like the capitalist thing where I would then want to pay them the same amount as me, and I don't make enough to be able to do that. And so yeah, it's probably doing it all together. Like, if I didn't have to do a lot of those tasks, it would make things a lot easier. But so a lot of that I don't enjoy, but it makes it worth it so that I'm able to do the sewing part of it and like the creative part of it, because that's the bit that makes it worth it. And if to be able to continue to do that, I have to then be a photographer and all of that other stuff, then, you know, so be it. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining about my job, which is obviously an extremely good and fortunate job that I am extremely lucky to be able to do. So I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, but that bit is difficult. It's, oh my god, and emails. I hate emails. They are the worst. And even like DMs. I don't want to sound like, obviously it's fine that people are sending me DMs. I don't want to sound like, I know that that's a part of it, but I really want to be like invisible and not have to, like, I am known by my one friend for just not replying to texts. So if that's how I am naturally, to be able, like, to have to daily answer DMs and emails, that doesn't feel good for me personally. But, you know, I gotta do what I gotta do. Okay, next question is, how did you start your business? This is a story and a half. And you know when like something's happened to you and then it doesn't even feel real because of how you just separate it from yourself so much that you're like, no, that can't be my life. So I started it like 3.5 years ago now. And I was a bit poorly mentally. We didn't know I had autism, and I was going through a lot of exposure therapy for anxiety, which is basically where they like force you into situations that make you feel awful. And being autistic, I now know that I just don't have to do that to myself and I can just be nice to myself. But at the time, they were trying to like cure my anxiety by forcing me to go like on buses, you know, all that stuff that I really like, and like even leave the house every day. Like that, there's like no way, that feels awful, why am I doing this? And I wasn't getting any better with it was just staying consistently bad, which is probably another telltale sign that I was autistic and not just like had anxiety disorder or whatever. So I was doing a lot of that, and then it was too much and I had a breakdown, and then I got put in a section 2, which I believe is for 2 months, but I ended up staying for 3 months because they wouldn't let me leave. Because they do that thing where then they are, section means you get put in like a psychiatric unit by law, so you're not allowed to leave, by the way, if anyone didn't know, any not mental people were listening. Yes, so that happened, and then when you get put in formal, they're like, yeah, but if you're informal, and I was like, oh, so I can leave now, and then they're like, well, no, if you try to leave, we'll section you again. So I was like, okay. Oh, an email. See, like, it fills me with dread. And I know it's probably just like, oh, your order is on the way, which is fun. That's lovely. But I don't like it. I don't even like leaving it now. This is why I work like 24 hours a day, because I'm like, okay, an email, I need to get on that. Anyway, where was I? Yes, so I was in a hospital. I was feeling bad. This is before I started my business. I got released and they told me I needed to get a hobby. So I got a hobby of sewing. And I've always customized clothing since I was a kid, so it was like a very natural one. My weight changed because they did not feed me in the hospital, which was really fun. I believe that hospital is shut down now for neglect, so if that tells you anything about my stay, then Oh, and now I have a lovely therapist who on my like record, I don't know what it's called, for autism, it now says that do not section her under any, because like that's the worst possible environment for an autistic person. Because that's like the worst possible environment for an autistic person, like bright lights, unpredictable, they control your food, they control when you sleep, they control when you get your meds. Like, they will just touch and grab you, even if you don't want to be. I was on 24-hour watch for 3 months, so I just had some man watching me the whole time, so I didn't shower, I couldn't poop, like, I can't think about it, because I'll go all hot and panicky. It was a bad time. So when I got out, I was like, never again, I need to look after myself. And they told me to get a hobby of sewing. I've been rambling, but I hope that's okay. So I decided to sew my old clothes. And then when I ran out of them, I needed money to buy more clothes to be able to customize. So I just put them on Depop. And it just went from there. It was a very, very slow increase of followers and sales. I don't think I made a sale for, it must have been like 3-4 months. And I was very, very, very disheartened because I was like, but my hobby is sewing. This is what I've dedicated myself to now. And if it fails, I don't know what I'm going to do. But I just stuck with it. I just found more and more of my clothes to do it, to customize. And that's how it went. Yeah. And then it just sort of grew from there. I know I had another question which is sort of related, which was how much money did you initially spend? And I was on benefits because I couldn't work a job because I was too crazy to do that. So I was on benefits, so I did not have any disposable income whatsoever. They do not allow you to have luxuries if you're on benefits. So let me just get my next order up. Oh, I love this one. So yes, I was on benefits. I didn't have any disposable income. So I want to say 0, but I know that that's not realistic because I just happened to already have what I needed to start it. So I think I'll just tell you what I used and then it will sort of make more sense. So I had a very old sewing machine that I got for one Christmas when I was younger, like way younger. I've had it for years and years. And I know it's the cheapest one they did because we went and bought it from Hobbycraft. And I believe it was £60. It was like a terrible brother machine. And because it was so old and I didn't know how to service sewing machines or anything, and I couldn't afford to get it serviced, it was then just bad. So I had that. And then I did buy a couple things. I bought screen printing mesh. I already knew how to screen print, but I bought the mesh, which I believe was about £5. And then I used old photo frames to make the screens. And I bought emulsion, like UV reactive emulsion for it. No, I didn't even get the expensive UV one. I got the one where you like draw something on with like a specific liquid, and then when you scrape over the emulsion, it doesn't like stick to that particular liquid. So then when you rub that off, your drawing is there. As like, if you don't know what screen printing is, you won't know at all what I'm talking about. But I bought some of that. That must have been maybe like £10-11. And I had, so like the bare necessities for what I was doing was a screen printing frame with my drawing on it, screen printing ink, which again is relatively inexpensive. I was using a terrible brand. I remember when I switched up to like the more expensive brand, I was like, oh, this makes so much difference. Blank clothing, I just used mine, so free or like very inexpensive. A phone to take pictures. I already had a phone. And actually I borrowed my roommate's camera because she had like a fancy camera. So thank you, Ali, you're the best. So I borrowed her camera to take pictures, I think. Sewing machine, phone, camera, obviously things like thread for the sewing machine and scrap fabric, which I just used my other old clothing for, sort of things that wouldn't be useful as just blanks on their own. Maybe I should have written these answers down before because I feel like I'm missing things, but I did not sort of invest any money into it up front at all. Nothing. I didn't like buy anything bulk. I didn't do anything like that. And then just sort of very gradually, once I sold a piece, I would then use all of that money to be able to buy more things like hardware, like chain spikes, things like that. Yes. So I think that sort of answers it. But I was not like intending for it to be a business, so I didn't treat it as such to begin with, because I was like, well, this is gonna fail, but I'm gonna give it a go. So yes, I think that explains it as best as I can. Nice. Okay, so that question was, how do I make my patches? There are a few methods that I use. So the first would be sublimation printing, which is, so I draw or like design. Sometimes I use like copyright free or like royalty free images and then like edit them loads. So I would probably call that designing more than drawing. But typically I draw all of the designs. And then once I've got those, I either use sublimation printing, which is where I have my Epson EcoPrint printer, and then I put sublimation ink into it instead of regular ink, and then you use sublimation paper and then print out your drawings onto it, and then you can print onto fabrics that are 60% or more polyester, or I believe there are other like synthetic fabrics you can print onto, but I can't remember what they are off the top of my head. Basically, the more polyester, the like more crisp your print will come out, but you can print on less. And then, so I use it a lot for like white slip dresses, because it's a printer, it doesn't print out white, so you can only print on light fabrics as well. That's sort of why I've started using some direct-to-film transfers for the darker fabrics, but I will get to that in a second. And then, yes, and then you print those out on your fabric or your clothing or whatever, or I guess fabric for patches if you're asking about patches. And then that's sublimation printing. And then I use screen printing, which I don't really know how to describe. You get like some mesh and a frame, and then you put emulsion on it, and then you print out your drawing like black line work or black like gradient with little stipples. There's a word for it, but I can't remember what it is, onto film. If you watch someone else's YouTube video about this, they will describe it far better than I am. But yes, you can get that, and then you put it under a UV light. Oh no, you put emulsion on the mesh first. I like how much of a terrible job I'm doing at explaining this. And then you put it under a UV light, and then when you take away your black film thing, then it will be a negative, and then you can squeegee through ink whilst it's on top of your fabric. And then your picture will be on it. I like that method a lot. That's what I started out with. Too big. However, it's very messy and it has a lot of limitations, at least for me, because I don't have a proper setup to be able to do sort of multiple color prints and things like that. Yes. So that's another way. And then the most recent way, the easiest way is if you send it to someone else's company who will print them onto fabric for you. That's a great option too. I use that for if I am wanting them on canvas or a fabric that I can't print with at home, so cotton, if it's like a multiple colour print, or if I want a lot of them, it just saves me a lot of time to do that. And then there's direct to film transfers. I don't have the facilities to make them myself, so I get them sent to me and I send them my drawings and they will print it onto a big sheet of film, and then I cut out my drawings and I put them on stuff. And those are my terrible explanations of how I make patches. I hope that was somewhat helpful. I get that question a lot and I'm like, I don't know, I just kind of wing it, like I don't really know what I'm doing. And I feel like that's my answer to a lot of these questions is, just make it work, you know? Every hurdle I face, I just sort of bumble my way through. And that is my life and how I've got this far in it. Yes. So that's that question. I don't know if I should re-record that answer with like something better. Nah, it should be alright, shouldn't it? I think it'll be fine. The next question I saw after this one was asking to know more about my music and film taste. And this is something that most people, when they see me especially, like not when they talk to me so much, when they talk to me I feel like they kind of get it, but when they just like look at me, they're like, there's no way that Owl City is one of your favourite bands. And I'm like, yeah man, they're so good. I've never known a band to fit so many puns into, like the one about the dentist, oh my god, because I know the drill. Oh, it's so good. Oh no. I moved too hard, my mic came off. So I really like Owl City. Let me just write this person's name before I forget. A lot of these are repeat customers, which is so nice. They like bought something and then they were like, this is good, and then they bought it again. Miraculous, you know? I have no faith in what I make. Okay, yes, so about the music taste, I really like Owl City a lot. I also really like bands that you might typically presume that I like, such as Linkin Park, Blink 182, and what else? You know when you're asked a question and then sort of every answer just like exits your brain? Let me have a look on my Spotify. Oh, I've been really into Phoebe Bridgers recently. I had never listened to her before, but I think I might have like accidentally heard some songs. And Ethel Cain, is that her name? Really into that. Oh, my top listen to is the Front Bottoms. You can probably presume that. What else is in here? Old Paramore was really good. 100 Gex, amazing. 3 Days Grace, so good. Nirvana, obviously. The Garden, yeah, I can get down with some of The Garden every now and again. Ice Peak, so good. Placebo, of course, Sum 41. I think a lot of these bands just show my age, really, which no one ever guesses is actually 28 and not 19, as my face can often suggest. Yeah, I'll go with some of those. And movies, one of my favourite movies ever is Hackers. I love the movie Hackers. I think there's two by the name, but from the fashion sense, you'll know the one that is my favourite one. So I love Hackers. I love Booksmart is my favourite movie recently. It's become somewhat of like a ritual where every single day I will watch Booksmart. And that is autism, I think. But it's just so good. Like, I can't stop watching it. It's so satisfying at every single point. I also really like Camp Rock. I really like High School Musical. What else do I like? There must be some like cool movies in there. Are there no cool movies that I like? I'm struggling to think of any. I like some good movies, I swear. I like a lot of what A24 put out. Midsummer was really good. Yes. So I can get down with some good movies, but I wouldn't, yeah. I think I have a good balance between like terrible music taste and what I would consider to be good music taste, and the same with movies. And the same with video games. One of my favourite video games is Life is Strange. And my boyfriend always makes fun of me. But I can't, like, it's the only game that I've been able to, like, replay and been like, like, I'm just playing this game. I don't know why, but I also really like Skyrim, which is a cool game, right? Skyrim's cool, but also Animal Crossing, which isn't as cool, but in my world it is. Right now I'm playing Fallout 3. Because I got the PlayStation whatever thing where I can play it. And it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But then I wanted to play GTA 4. And I don't have it on there. I can't play it on there, I don't think. Really annoying. But Red Dead 2 and The Witcher are my favourite games. The Witcher 3, for context. When I first played it, I was like, this is a very horny game, you know? I'm dreading having to listen back to this recording and then having to like splice together the moments of just long silences, just because sometimes it feels so good to just stop talking mid-sentence. You're like, actually, I've had enough now. I'm not going to talk anymore. And that feels great. And I do that a lot. And my boyfriend is like, oh my God. I was like, I'm genuinely interested in what you're saying. Why have you stopped talking? Oh no, that person from before ordered another one. Now I have to unbox the other one and put this one in. Oh my God, they ordered a third one? Kira. Stop. Is there anything else? I need to check through all of them. Kira? Thanks. I need a bigger box. I don't think I have a box big enough for 3. Since you work from home, do you often get distracted? No, I don't actually. I know that's something that a lot of people would struggle with. Especially my boyfriend doesn't know how I do it because he has ADHD, and he's like, I would simply do no work. I would just play video games all day. And I'm like, well, yeah, I feel that pull. I do. But I genuinely really enjoy what I do. So, and also like, I am so, like, I will not lose this job. Like, I am so dedicated to being like, this job is the best job, and I refuse for it to go downhill, and in order to refuse, I need to put in the hours, you know? And like, now I have a little doggy to like provide for. I can't do anything that's gonna mess this up, such as playing video games all day. So not really, and if I do, because I work from home, I could just make up the hours in the evening. So it's sort of like I have a pretty good routine where I like to do the same things every day. Sounds like autism. How did no one know? So I tend to not get distracted because I'm just following my routine. I'm like, okay, I will wake up at 10 and then walk downstairs and then start, doing what I need to be doing. So I don't really get distracted, no. There's not a hurdle that I have to face, fortunately. How did you develop this kind of style? This question I get a lot, and I have absolutely no idea. It just happened. So there's the least helpful answer that I could possibly give you. You're welcome. I didn't expect anyone else to like this style because I thought that it might be a bit too niche. But I just start putting things on fabric and then it ends up as, oh no, I ran out. It ends up as a piece of clothing. But I've just always been interested in the power of clothing, I guess. And I had a subscription to Fruits magazine when I was a kid. It would get imported, and I think that shaped my brain a lot. So that probably had something to do with it also. But apart from that, I don't really know. I just try things out. I like to experiment a lot. I don't like to sort of stick to one method of doing things. I get bored very easily, hence why I make a lot of one-of-ones instead of sort of coming up with a design I really like and then making multiple, which I have done recently because it is an insane thing to try and make myself do, to come up with a brand new idea every single day. That's a bit much, and it can get a bit much, and then I'll put so much pressure on myself, and then I get really stressed out when I can't do it, and I'm like, I'm not cut out for this job, I can't do this. And yeah, so that can happen. In the early days, just starting out, what some of the things you know now that you wish you knew then? Oh gosh, there are probably so many of these, and yet my mind just completely can't think of anything. What do I wish I would have known? See, I want to say things like pricing, stop underselling your work, but I don't know if anyone would have bought it if I'd have sold it for what it is actually worth. So that's a really tricky one, but probably something worth thinking about, but I don't really have sort of a proper answer. Ooh, get an accountant, and don't get one from Google, because I rang up some and they were like, this will be £2,000 a year, and I was like, I'm sorry, no. But then I got one through my boyfriend's brother's girlfriend, who's lovely, and that's £250 for I just send her my stuff, and I'm like, you make sense of this somehow. Good luck. And that is amazing because I am bad with numbers. So, and also it's just I don't then have to panic about doing it wrong. So that was great. What else? Oh, I don't know if I'm allowed. Well, I'm allowed to talk about it, but just be wary about who you work with for collaborations. And I'll leave it at that. Don't blindly trust people. If something feels off, it's probably off. They will exploit your naivety. They will not pay you. And it will be really, really upsetting. Just, yes. So, that's definitely something. Would you ever do custom orders? I get this question so much, and I'm sorry, but probably not, unless I get into a really horrible financial situation in which I just need nothing is selling and I just need rent money. unless that happens, or it will be a situation where I'll put customs up and then they will just sell equally as quickly as the items that the people like are wanting anyway, because there'll be so few slots, or if anything they'll sell quicker. So I don't think it will sort of solve the issue of how quickly sometimes things can sell in the drops, unfortunately. Occasionally I'll take on a few customs if I get a message, and like I did a really cool one for their D&D character, and I was like, oh, this is like just so sick, I can't pass this up. So occasionally I will take on some, but typically I get extremely stressed out doing them. I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I don't charge enough for them. And that's my bad. Just because there's so much that goes into it, like even the sketching stages or making like custom patches, and I just like won't charge anything extra because I just don't have it in me. So that, yeah, there are a lot of reasons why I might not do that, and that's sort of, you know, at least for now, that's how it's going. But I am trying to do more drops where there are multiples, like my Celestial Wizardy drop is coming out very soon, in which I have a lot of items like that. Oh, I need to get a big box. Next question. Where do you get your supplies? A bit here and there. I get my laces from eBay and my doilies in like vintage bulks, but then the seller I got them from, I bought all of the vintage bulks, so I don't know how to get any more, but luckily I bought so many that I'm stocked up for at least a little bit. Boxes for packing. I get hardware from the Trimming Shop UK, although they always sell out, which is really annoying. So when they're there, I have to like really stock up. So no one else buy them all when they get there. Please save some for me. I need to find somewhere else probably, but it's really hard, weirdly, to find spikes in the UK. I see lots of other brands using like these humongous ones, and I'm like, where the hell are you getting these from? So it beats me. I think I have run out of steam for talking now. But thank you for joining me. I hope that I answered some of your questions, and if you have any more, I can do one of these every 2 weeks when I pack. I didn't make very good progress packing. It's been like an hour and a half, and I packed 4 orders. So it's going to be a long day. But I'm going to put on Booksmart and pack some more. Yeah, thanks so much. Bye. Wait, Frank, do you want to say bye? Do you want to say bye to the people? Oh my gosh. You want to say bye-bye? Bye. He's like, what's happening? You smell like biscuits.